Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, Escape from Transylvania. The goddess next door and John Haynes must escape a horde of vampires on the hunt in this horror-filled Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Escape from Transylvania in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. One of my viewers asked me what is the process I use to hire comic book artists to design the covers for my books. As everyone knows, I hire professional comic book artists to design the covers for my books like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, and the recent John Haynes series. And the reason why I hire professional comic book artists for designing my book covers is because I want to leave a strong first impression on my readers. And I believe comic book art leaves the strongest first impression on readers because comic book artists have to tell a very compelling story in a single image. And I also hire comic book artists because of my long history with comic books and my passion for the comic book industry. And those are the core reasons why I go out of my way to hire comic book artists to design the covers for my books. And the process that I go about hiring comic book artists to design the covers for my books is this. Usually I will go to a place like a DeviantArt and I will look at an artist's work. I will go there, I will study all of their professional pieces, all of their commissioned pieces, and I will get a feel for their work and I will try to figure out if this artist's work would be a very good fit for my characters. Sometimes after I go to the DeviantArt page of an artist, usually I will try to find out if they have an official website, and then I will go over to their official website and I will take a look at more of their commissioned pieces. And as I'm looking at their commissioned pieces, I'm usually running the idea of what their artistic style will look like featuring my characters and see if these characters, if this artist style would be a good fit for my characters, one, and two, if it would be a good fit for the story I am telling. Because when it comes down to hiring an artist, you have to make sure that the artist's style is a good fit for your characters and a good fit for your story. If you have a story with a certain mood or a certain tone, you're going to need an artist with a certain style. And usually for stories like an ISIS or an E-Steam, I usually hire Bill Walko because his animated style of art usually works well for those characters. But whereas for a character like a John Haynes, where his stories are usually darker, I wanted to go with someone like Mike Williams because his mood and tone of his art is a little darker and it's a better fit for the character's darker adventures. So when it comes down to an artist, I'm always looking at their style to see if it's a good fit and to see if they can convey certain emotions in a piece that I would want for the image of the cover, because the cover is one of the most important elements of a book. When you have a cover, this is the reader's first impression of the book, and the image on that cover is going to be the thing that gets the reader's attention. And so the image on that cover has to really catch the reader's attention, and it really has to stimulate the reader's emotions. So when I look at an artist, I'm looking at their style to see if their style would be a good fit for the characters and to see if they can stimulate emotions in their pieces and if that art is going to be a piece that's going to be able to appeal to the core audiences I am going for. And usually when I'm doing books like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, and the John Haynes series, usually I'm trying to go for tweens, teens, and all ages audiences. So I really want to have a certain style for those pieces. And usually when I'm going to different comic book artists' pages, I'm looking for certain styles that fit the character, and again, looking for the story, if their art will tell the story I want to tell in their imagery. Because again, the artist has to fit what I'm looking for in terms of storytelling. Because if I have a story and I go out here and I hire the wrong artist, then it's going to set the wrong mood for the book. It's going to set the wrong tone for the book, and then the reader is not going to be able to get a good idea of what it is. So you have to get the right artist on a book if you hope to set the right tone for the story. And that's something that a lot of writers have to think about when they're hiring a comic book artist for a cover. You really want to think about whether this art fits the mood and the tone you want to set, and make sure that that mood and tone are going to sell the reader and give them incentive to buy the book. Now, usually after I've studied an artist's work on either their DeviantArt page or a place like their Facebook page, or I'll go and I'll look at their official website, that's when I'll start getting ready to go into the inquiry process. And during the inquiry process, I'll write up an email and I'll ask if this artist is available to take this project, and I'll talk about their past work in that letter and how I like their past work. And two, I will ask about what their page rate is going to be, because artists work on a page rate. And in that page rate, you have to find out what their price is for a figure, because usually you have to pay per figure depending on the artist. And you have to pay for things like your inks and your backgrounds and your colors. Some artists, they're very nice artists, and they'll make one flat rate for a cover, whereas others, they're going to charge you per piece in the commission piece. They're going to charge you for each figure, which is male or female. They're going to charge you for the background, and they're going to in some cases charge you for the colors. And you have to figure out what the price rate is going to be before you contract this work out. And usually I work that out with the artist beforehand, and usually we come to an agreement about what the price is going to be before I submit them any work. And usually after we come to an agreement on the price, I will submit them my concept art, and they will go from there. Usually I will sketch up some model sheets of characters like I did for Isis Bride of Dracula, or Eastine, The Sands of Time, or Isis Escape from Transylvania. I'll do some model sheets of what I want the characters to look like, and I'll also do a storyboard of what I want the characters to be doing. Usually I give the artist my model sheets, my storyboards, and my concept art, and they go from there. And usually I give artists anywhere from 30 to 45 days to finish a sketch. And usually once I get the sketch, then I tell them what I want in the sketch and what I like about the sketch. And if they need to make changes, I tell them where they need to make a change here or there. And usually that's how it works with Bill Walko when I'm doing Isis series books. Usually when I do an Isis series cover, I just give him the model sheets, I just give him the concept sketches, and 30 to 45 days he gives me a sketch, and usually I sign off on the sketch, and then he just goes to do the inks and colors, and then I get the finished product and I pay for the finished project. Whereas for other artists like Mike Williams, we usually do a lot of talking on Twitter in between pieces. Usually, like for my first project I worked with him on called Legendary Mad Matilda's cover, we did a lot of talking back and forth about Matilda's look, the backgrounds, and for John Haynes' A Conversation with Death, we talked a lot about what should be in the backgrounds, the compositions of the figures, the colors. Usually it varies from artist to artist, but there has to be strong communication between myself and the artist when I'm working on a project. Usually, sometimes I'll just give them the all the concept art, and they'll just go like Bill Walker will go from there. Or I'll be working hand in hand with like I do with Mark Williams, making sure that each part of the piece is absolutely perfect. So there's a lot of communication between myself and an artist when when we're working on a cover, and usually by the end of the process, I usually wind up with a very strong piece at the end of the day. And after they do finish doing work on the piece, usually that's when I send them a payment via PayPal, and then I go on to take the finished art and then put it in Photoshop on the template for CreateSpace, or I upload it to Kindle, and from there, that's where the book is then uploaded to be sold all across the world. So whenever I'm going out here and I'm looking to hire an artist, usually, again, I'm looking for certain things. I'm looking to make sure that the art, one, fits the story I'm trying to tell, and two, I'm looking to make sure that the artist's style would be something that could convey what I'm trying to tell in the story. Sometimes I'll submit the story to a artist so that they can get a sense and a feel of what type of story I'm trying to tell, like what I did with John Haynes, A Conversation with Death. I sent Mike Williams the story to take a look at, and other times I just give the artist the concept art and they know where to go from there. So usually it's an involved process, it's an active process, and it's something that I do on the regular. And I see a lot of artists sometimes that I want to work with, and I'm just waiting to just get the funds to do so. And that's what I usually want to do, is make sure I have the funds ready so I can pay the artists for their time, because I understand how valuable their time is, and I want to be able to get these projects out without any sort of hindrances in the way. And money is usually the thing that keeps me from making inquiries to artists regarding doing other projects. Usually I do want to hire out more covers and more cover design, and I've even pondered hiring out to do interiors for books, because eventually one of my ultimate goals is to get to the point where I can do an ISIS series graphic novel, or an E-Steam or John Haynes graphic novel. And the only way you get there is you have to learn how to start telling a story in pictures. And one of the ways I've learned how to tell stories with pictures is by going out here and learning how to design covers, because covers are something that, just like a comic, they have to tell a story in a singular image. And that image has to be bold, that image has to be dynamic, that image has to be very strong if you hope to get readers' attention. And that's what I want to do with a strong cover, is get those readers' attention, leave that powerful first impression on the reader, and let them know that the quality of the cover on the outside will match the quality of the storytelling inside. Because many of my readers who read my earlier books said that they were upset about the poor quality of the covers, but they were surprised about the quality of the storytelling. So what I wanted to do was try to elevate the quality of the storytelling by presenting quality covers on the fronts of my books. Now, these covers are expensive, but I believe that they are worth the cost, because a quality cover can be the thing that gives a reader incentive to go out here and buy a book that they wouldn't have bought before, and it may give a reader an incentive to go out here and try a book they wouldn't have tried before, or try a book in a genre they have never read before, and then start trying to read other books in the series, or try other books in the genre. So a quality cover has a major impact on a book. And one of the reasons why I hire comic book artists again to draw the covers for my books is one, because I believe that comic book art has the strongest visual impression on readers, and two, I have a long love for comic books and the comic book industry, and I want to help a fellow comic book artist go out here and make that impression on a new audience of readers. And I want to show people how great comic book art is and how strong it can be in getting the attention of readers who don't read comics but will go out here and see these characters and then have an incentive to go out here and buy these books. So this is the process I use to go out here and hire comic book artists, and I'm always looking for a good comic artist. If you can tell a great story with pictures, that's what I'm looking for. And if you can tell a great story with pictures in color, that's what I'm looking for the front, for the covers of my books. And that's what I'm looking for when I go out here to hire an artist to design a cover for an SJS Direct book. If you'd like to try some of my SJS Direct publications like the ISIS series, the East series, The Temptation of John Haynes, and the Spinsterella trilogy, you may do so by clicking a link to Amazon.com in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos and pay for more book covers, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking a link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, John Haynes, A Conversation with Death. A man who rules the world and the angel of darkness take on a horde of demons in this inaugural John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, A Conversation with Death for 99 cents on Kindle or in paperback today.